Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is September 14, 2021, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets revived themselves at a key support level. But first, looking at the major economic events of the day at 2:30 South African time, out of the United States, we have a monthly CPI number coming out. That is the inflationary report number that has become the most important number of the month. So be aware that it's coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, the Forex symbols, euro bounces while the Aussie dollar looks and remains weak. Looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq both bounce. Commodities, oil trading higher, breaking resistance. Gold pretty much unchanged. And looking at the stocks, it's Apple bouncing off of potential support. We're going to take a look at that. And lastly, Bitcoin pretty much unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go, looking at the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart, and boom, 1782 is the near bottom for now to 1890. That's not such a big stretch, right? That's like what, 20 pips, 30 pips. So, but nevertheless, it's a bounce, okay? That's what I'm looking for to give us maybe like a bottom, an interim bottom for now, as this has gone from that 1890-ish level, okay, down to where we are. It's somewhere midpoint between our nice little rally. That's normal. Now, I would use this moving average as a potential support. Anytime it dips below that, just use it as a support until it's a bona fide, sell-off and we're going back to our lows. But right now, it looks like we're bouncing off of this low. 1890 is where 1809 right now is where we're at. Potentially, we have another 70 pips that we can potentially go before we hit resistance. So just be aware of it. The Aussie dollar, though, not bouncing here. Dead on its tracks, not really bouncing. So we may see either a catch-up or this selling further, okay, in the anticipation it's going to sell off. Now, looking at the GBP USD, really pretty much unchanged. So nothing happening in the Forex symbols so much, okay? This is why you got to shift where the market action is happening, and that's mostly in the stocks, and it's still happening. So before we do that, let's look at the commodities, though. Looking at gold, pretty much unchanged between 1800 to 1793. For all intents and purposes, that's flatlining right between our two support and resistance level as well. Now, looking at oil, this is where it gets a bit interesting at $71 a barrel. Okay, we had a really nice rally from the beginning of the week, from beginning of last week actually, to 68 to 71, a $3 move. Now, it did look like it's going to sustain this resistance at $70, but it did break above it. So potentially we could go back to the $72 if this momentum continues. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, this is where it's at. We had a nice bounce yesterday. And remember, this was a previous support level, right? We hit this level towards the end of August where we sold off, and then finally bouncing right back. And now we're seeing this as a second potential support level, okay, at 34,600-ish level. So with that said, we're at 34,900. I mean, I wouldn't really look to short this. I would look to see if this is actually going to sustain this resistance level at this moving average, or is it going to break higher? That's something to look for today. Now, looking at the Nasdaq, it did sell off as well. 15,445, not big sell-off, but a sell-off, okay? So with that said, I'll say here, it's not very close to the moving average either. So let's see what happens today and how this unfolds as well. Now, looking at the Apple stock, okay, this is where it's getting interesting. Now, this is looking at a 4-hour chart, and we are developing an upwards momentum, at least in the interim, okay, trend line. Now, I'm not celebrating this, but if it does sustain this, and we do see this go back to this 151, that would be a potential move for us to actually, close in on this gap where we've hit the high of 155. So keep that in mind going into the next day. Now, this time of the year, those of you who have traded here before know that the Dow Jones generally sells off in this month of the year. So keep that in mind as well. Now, looking at the rest of the stocks, pretty much weakness across the board. Alcoa still down at $49. JP Morgan not doing much. Facebook is down at 374, but you could see we're in a tight range here. Okay, nothing really jumping and making new highs. Microsoft is not doing it. Microsoft is trading at 296, okay, off of its high of 303. So really, I'd like to see the week unfold to see how this is going to happen and how this will unfold this week. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, 45,252, really not moving in a very tight range. I would wait until it breaks either out on the upper range or the lower range to take some kind of position. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.